Good morning to you and welcome to NTV Today. My name is Dann Mwangi. Thank you for joining us, where we're going to be looking at all that's happening around you and what you need to know now and going forth in the course of the day. We shall be crossing over to various counties in regards to what is happening there, what the ongoings are. And today our conversation is going big on the price of unga. Yesterday the CS in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mwangi Kiunjuri, said that retailers should drop their prices to 75 shillings for a 2-kilogram pack of maize meal. Now, this is a conversation that brings in questions of, are we moving towards price controls, or is it just a matter of looking at the economics around it? What has informed this decision, and why do we have some seeming disunity between among the different millers? And we shall be having one of the millers in studio here. But you know, as always, we go to where the story is, and so we shall have the bulk of the conversation in the county of Uasin Gishu in our Eldoret studios, where Lois Wangoi is standing by with a panel in studio. And we know that the senators, some of the senators are in the county of Uasin Gishu as well, and they are having different meetings. We have the governor of West Pokot, that's John Lonyangopuo. He's before the Senate's Public Accounts and Investments Committee in regards, they are the ones who look at the matters of the counties and their budgets and auditing their auditing their finances, and we shall be crossing over there. But we keep on this conversation. Different things happening in the country. In Nakuru, the NCIC, as the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, is having a press conference in regards to the Posimoru clashes. And in Nairobi, there's some MPs who are going to be having a press conference on the same, and they're going to be led by Cherangany MP Joshua Kutunyi, who's going to be leading that group. Now, let's first of all hear what's happening in the world of sports, and Sean Kadovilis joins me now in studio to give us an idea of what, I mean, Sean, I hear some of the giants fell last night.
Yeah, there have been a lot of upsets, so we'll talk about that in just a moment, Dan. But first of all, there's a major press conference that's taking place this evening from about 5:30 onwards, and it's by the World Anti-Doping Authority. They've got a number of issues to talk about. As we speak this week, we're seeing more Kenyan names testing positive. It's a very worrying trend, what is happening with our young athletes, and seemingly wanting to take shortcuts. Also, you know, possibly being misguided by officials, where we're not quite sure exactly why this is such a worrying trend. Could it be the agents? Could it be officials that are misguiding these athletes? So more Kenyan names are testing positive, and the World Anti-Doping Authority, a number of officials here in Nairobi, we understand also detectives have been doing background work for the last year or two. They've been in the country, so we're going to hear what they have to say this evening. It's happening near the UN, this major press conference. But you're also talking about football. It's been a huge week in terms of league football and also cup football as well. First of all, at Anfield, Liverpool being knocked out, a sensational Eden Hazard goal, enabling Chelsea to go through in the League Cup. We'll have details on that. And also in Spain, for the first time since January of 2015, both Real Madrid and Barcelona lost in La Liga. We'll have the full details on that and other stories, sports coming up a little bit later on NTV Today.
Thank you very much, Sean. Definitely stuff to look forward to as we kick it on into the next gear shift and the likes. And now let's cross over to the county of Uasin Gishu, and we're getting our conversation on the price of unga and the whole value chain, as it were, into top gear. And we're now crossing over there, where we have Kennedy Morethi standing by, because the Senate has been in the county for the week that has been, and they're still there. And Kennedy is going to kick off the conversation with us. He's got a senator who is going to be speaking to on this. Kennedy, give us an update of what's happening there and what the sentiments are about this price of unga.
Well done. It's been a very busy week here, as it is the 4th day when senators are meeting, and it has been a packed week with regards to some of the committees that they are holding, the plenary and everything else. Yesterday was the hallmark of their stay here in Uasin Gishu County, where senators had to come face to face with maize farmers in this county, and sentiments flew at that particular meeting, whereby the farmers felt like the country's leadership is not at all concerned with their grievances. And actually, we even saw at one particular time there was a tiff between some senators and maize farmers at that particular meeting. And this is a really emotive matter with regards to the farmers of this region, whereby they feel they have been shortchanged for quite some time with regards to maize, and it has actually been used as a political tool. You'll remember in the run-up to the 2017 elections, Dan, the government came with a strategy where unga had gone down to 90 shillings, and immediately after elections, elections quite some time after, then maize shot, the price of unga shot up. And this is something that the farmers themselves have been complaining about, that it has been used as a tool because, one, it is one of the staple foods that we have as a country. But right now I'm joined by one of the senators from this region whom I have adjudged as they are going to a committee, and we want to understand. Yesterday there was a meeting and farmers were very mad at you senators, but one other thing that you're being accused is that you're using the maize and unga issue as a political tool to advance your agenda. You want to stand in you want to stand at public barazas and say that we are going to stand with you as farmers, but then again that's where it ends.
No. I think if we have seized the matter as a Senate, and that is why we have formed the ad hoc on maize. No one is using, I'm not aware of any leader from this region who is using maize as a political tool. But the main issues we came reality to yesterday is that as a Senate, we did form an ad hoc on maize after realizing we had challenges. Yesterday, the reason even we are going round, we had gone up to Malapa border over the weekend, the Trans Nzoia, and yesterday we are in Wasingishu, tomorrow will be Nandi County. Those issues, we wanted to get the real issues, because people have been sitting in Nairobi and making decisions on behalf of the farmers, and therefore it has given us an opportunity to listen to the challenges, and we have realized there are so many challenges, especially importation of maize. We need to address the issue of even devolving fully now the National Cereals and Produce Board, and we are still thinking about that, so that all counties run their own strategic food reserve at the level, or the National Cereals and Produce Board have an opportunity to be there. And therefore let us allow time for us to, after listening during the public hearing, which is for the important basis, then we go and ventilate through the issues, because we have discussed with the Ministry of Treasury, who normally issue the gazette notices of importation. We have discussed with the Kenya Revenue Authority. We have discussed with Ethics and Anti-Corruption, and those are the questions we were telling the Ethics and Anti-Corruption they should not write a cautionary letter. We should pay the farmers first, and that has been our stand, so that the farmers are paid immediately as soon as possible.
Now, Senator Samson Cherargei, there is this matter that is really being discussed so much, and farmers want an assurance that when you'll be preparing this report, it will not just lie at the table of Senate, but implementing it is going to be at the core of it. Now that you have an ad hoc committee, what is its mandate and how long is it supposed to be there for it to give these recommendations? Remember, farmers who were speaking yesterday, and I believe you were at that meeting, the farmers feel like they are alone.
No, the farmers are alone. They have a friend called Senate. And I want to assure, if Kenyans want to see an example, you remember the ad hoc committee chaired by Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. on Solar Dam strategy. Our recommendation, the owner was arrested. Among other senior government officials were arrested. So this ad hoc committee, the recommendations will not lie idle. We'll make one of the radical recommendations on how to sort out the maize crisis issue in this country. And if anybody is found culpable, and we are happy that DPP is doing his work, most of the senior officials, including the PS, have been arrested, and those matters are in court. We'll make radical recommendations so that we don't have maize crisis in the next planting season. I'm aware the maize crop is already ready and the others is still in store. We want to resolve that issue once and for all, so that farmers can get value for their money once and for all, and ensure also they continue farming and feeding Kenyans.
Now, there's the other question. Yesterday, the Minister for Agriculture came out and said that we want maize capped at 75 shillings. Now, is not putting into effect the other issues that have gone up. Probably with this 8% VAT on fuel, we are also looking at all these other factors that make unga, but we're not looking at the pricing. Probably are maize farmers going to be affected, or are the maize millers going to be affected with regards to the 75 shillings cap and the other issues that have gone up in pricing?
No, I want to agree. The biggest challenge that farmers face in this region, and some of us have them, is because of lack of full subsidy. If we can get subsidy farm inputs, especially through the program of fertilizers, it will make cheaper, apart from the diesel that we use in tractors in planting season. I know with the VAT now, diesel pricing will go up. It will affect the overall pricing. And even as we talk, the farmers are not, we are not happy with the pricing that the Ministry of Agriculture has given. And we hope when the maize crop is ready, the 1 bag of maize should go at least for 3,500, because the inputs are expensive. Now that we are adding VAT on diesel, now it will mean the cost of tilling or cultivating shambas will go up. Therefore, if you cap now 75 shillings per kilo, it means the farmer will not get value for the money, and that is why you will find many farmers are moving to coffee or to going to tea, because they no longer see value in planting maize. And that is what we don't want to do. We want to encourage maize farmers to continue farming, but we must give them value for their money, so that when they are working hard and ensuring they cultivate, they continue to feed Kenyans at a good price. But the government now should see, maybe the VAT, we say the VAT on fuel should be zero rated. That has been my position. And maybe we should also relook at the giving full subsidy in terms of fertilizers. In this county, we have a fertilizer plant here near Cheptiret. We want that to work so that we don't incur importation costs when we are bringing fertilizer, so that the metric tons that we are bringing, and we need to do research in consultation with the Ministry of Agriculture, the county governments, so that we do the best fertilizer that is needed in the region where maize is planted, so that we get maximum production of maize in this region.
Well, Senator, at this particular time, even as we speak, my colleague Lois Wangoi has a panel with that has farmers in it, and they want an assurance from the Senate. Now that you're saying even the ad hoc committee is going to be making far-reaching recommendations, what can you tell that farmer who is seated right now and they are looking at you, looking at the Senate, thinking that probably the Senate is going to be our savior this time round?
One, we want the farmers that did supply maize and have not been paid to be paid promptly, and that is why we oppose the letter written by EACC. Number two, we are going to make a recommendation that we zero rate the fuel, especially diesel, among other fuel used by low-income earners, so that the cost of production should not go up. Secondly, on the issue of VAT on fuel and the issue of diesel, we should also ensure that it's affordable so that our farmers. And third is we ensure we have full subsidy. I mean, it is important that as a country, yet we pride ourselves producing maize, yet we do not have a fertilizer plant within even the North Rift region. The government now will make a far-reaching implementation. The fourth one is I want to assure that we were pushing for National Cereals and Produce Board to be fully devolved, sites that are managed by the county governments across the 47 counties. That because we realize the people who make decisions are in Nairobi, they are not necessarily on the ground, and yet that is where the decisions matter. And I think that is what is. But I want to assure farmers, the report that the ad hoc Senate on maize will come up, it will have far-reaching and radical changes that will ensure we sort the maize crisis in 2018. I want to assure farmers by 2019, as a Senate, we will push and ensure that we don't have any further crisis going forward.
But Senator, before I let you go, there is one assurance that you've made, and probably it will be very good that you clarify. The price or the VAT on fuel is a done deal, and the National Assembly already did with it. Now, how come you're assuring farmers that you're going to make sure that it is going to be affordable, yet it's a done deal?
You know, on the VAT, you realize that counties, their money was slashed by 9.8 billion. According to advisory opinion number 2 of Supreme Court 2013, they said you cannot discuss on the budgets that involve counties without the concurrence of the Senate. So we have in fact requested the Speaker to discuss this issue of VAT at the Senate level, because we are trying to push and ensure. That is why we are saying overall the Treasury, we are saying that let us, the KRA, be more creative and increase tax base, so that we are still pushing. And you remember there are members of parliament who have moved to court to challenge. So we are exploring the mediation committee that the Constitution has provided, so that we receive that the VAT on the issue of fuel, especially the diesel and paraffin that is being used by the low-income earners, is brought back to zero.
Well, Senator, I'll let you go. I can see some senators are waiting for you as you're leading a delegation. But that is the status as it is right now, Dan and Lois, who is also in our Eldoret studio. But this matter on maize has actually been an emotive one. And yesterday we witnessed emotions running very high when the senators were meeting with the farmers from this region. And one of the clarion calls that was coming up is that the senators and the government is playing politics with farmers. Probably what the farmers that are with Lois in the studio will be telling us how it is and what their recommendations would want, or how they would want Senate to look at this matter. We've had Senator Cherargei saying that this ad hoc committee is going to be making far-reaching recommendations. Whether these recommendations are going to be adopted is another matter. So probably, Dan, we're looking at this matter. VAT on fuel has gone up, everything has gone up, and Senator Cherargei says they are not in agreement with what Minister Kiunjuri said yesterday, that a 2-kilogram packet should be capped at 75. This is a ripple effect that probably will go all the way to the farmers, as millers will be buying this maize at a cheaper price. Thus, the farmer who is expecting that his bag is going to be bought at 3,500 is actually not going to get it. Back to you, Dan, in studio.
Thank you very much, Kennedy Mureithi, and speaking to the Nandi Senator Cherargei for that insight. And before we continue the conversation in regards to unga prices and maize and the politics and policy around them, We cross over to Homa Bay, and for many years, cases of misappropriation of monies from the Constituency Development Fund have been reported in many parts of the country. In some cases, there have been white elephant projects having been funded without serving their purposes. Now, residents of Kaspulka Bondo are having public participation functions today, that's in Homa Bay, and where they're engaging the Constituency Development Office, that's a CDF office, and looking at what projects should be given priority and where they should be put up, because like we've said a number of times, we've seen projects that have come up, they've got the signage saying CDF funded, NGCGF, which is national government CDF rather, and you find that not much is done on some of them. A lot of them have been inherited by subsequent governments, having been put as stalled projects. But now let's see what's happening in the county of Homa Bay in Kasipul, where Bernard Ojwang is. Bernard, what exactly is happening and what do we expect there?
Well, thank you very much, Dan. It is something that has been going on here, whereby public funds, especially in the department of CDF, where committee members are the only people identifying which project should be undertaken, be allocated. And currently here, what's happening here in Kasipul constituency, locals requested the CDF committee, CDF office here, at least to allow them give their views on which project should be given priority. And joining me now is one of the local here, just to tell us why is it important them be included in decision making when it comes to projects, deciding projects to be undertaken. You start with your name and tell us why did you decide at least talk to this CDF office that will give you opportunity to give them your views.
Thank you so much. I am Mary Opio, and I'm very happy today. Today is a turning point in our constituency, Kasipul, and we are launching the strategic plan for the year 2018 and up to 2023, I mean. It's a very important day, and this thing started from the public participation that took place in all the 5 wards that we have in our constituency. In fact, we are very happy that its launch has emanated from the public participation that took place in all the 5 wards. And there are 5 pillars today that is being launched.
For a very long time, you've been talking, saying that projects have been, they are being initiated without your views. We call them white elephant projects.
Yeah, in fact, you are very right. In the history of our constituency, this is the first time in our constituency that we are having a launch that everybody, all the users of the strategic plan are involved. And during the public participation, all the users of all the areas that we need we are launching today, all participated. And in fact, it is a day, it is something that is happening that has never happened.
How is it going to help you?
It is really going, especially the area of water. Our area has been suffering. Areas like we have some
signal, but we shall be following up that conversation in regards to what Bernard Ojwang was having a discussion about when it comes to matters of CDF. And we've seen over the years a number of complaints about these projects having been funded, but they're either incomplete, or you just find there's a drag and a delay in that, which sometimes has been put forward as an accusation to the different contractors trying to buy time so they can be paid more money at the expense of the taxpayer who's already heavily burdened with taxes. We'll get back to Bernard in not too long, but first let's cross over to the county of Uasin Gishu once again, but this time in our NTV studios in Eldoret, where Lois Wangoi is standing by with a panel there to begin and continue rather the conversation that Kennedy Muredi set us on in regards to the price of unga and maize and all the issues, policies and politics around that. Lois, over to you.
Many thanks, my colleague Dann Mwangi. Indeed, as you noted, we are coming to you live from our Eldoret studios to also get concerns or even voices of reason around the pricing of unga and the politics of unga in this country. With me in studio, quite an interesting panel. Next to me is a farmer, David Chepsia. Karibu sana, many thanks for joining us. Next to him, a businessman, Sam Mugo, and Sheikh Abubakar Bini, a resident of Eldoret town. We'll be speaking to the three to try and understand how they consumed that information or that announcement coming from the CS Agriculture, Mr. Mr. Mwangi Kinjuri, and what it means to our farmers here, to the residents, and also to the business community. We start with you, Mr. David Chepsia. Yesterday we saw Waziri Agriculture, Mr. Kinjuri, saying that millers should not price the price of unga per 2 kg bag anything above 75 Kenyan shillings. How have you received that information as a farmer?
Yeah, that information we received with a lot of shock, because like farmers who are not consulted, likewise dictating to the farmers the price of unga is not possible, because the price of maize depends on the cost of production. So likewise to millers also, there's a lot of taxes that have been put into a situation whereby they are supposed to gather the expense of their produce so that they produce flour. So in that sense, we as farmers, first of all, we are not happy about the same, because we are not represented. There was no farmer. There was called. So maybe the minister himself was there alone with the millers. So we are shocked a little bit because we are not consulted. And we are seeing now the case of the county, the education of the county, where it's because now we are being put in a situation whereby we are paying a lot of tax.
Yes.
There is a tax commodities.
Before we go to the tax commodity, yesterday the ad hoc committee from the Senate on Matters Agriculture had a meeting with the farmers. Were you there at the county hall?
Yeah,
were you present? Yes. I did witness a very heated debate between the farmers and the Senate. Farmers trying to express themselves and just lay out all the challenges they go through, top or on their complaints was the issue of pricing. Then a few hours later we see this announcement coming from CS Kinjuri. What sort of day was that for farmers?
We were shocked a little because we never see the continuation of Kinjuri and the Senate, because we are expressing our concern to the Senate because of the delayed payments and the structures to disrupt the National Cereal Produce Board so that they will handle farmers properly. So the information of the minister coming in between and announcing prices to control the price of the flour is shocking, because we are not intact and we are not together. Especially the minister himself, he was here the last time on June, and we were extremely facing challenges of payments. We are asking about our money, and then he said in 21 days he will pay, and then a little bit he transferred the Ministry of Agriculture to devolution. So the devolution said they will pay us the money. They owe us a lot of money, 3.5 billion. We have not been paid since January. So we don't know exactly what is happening, because as per now we are almost harvesting as farmers. We still have maize in our stores, about 500,000 bags of 90 kilos. We don't have enough space to keep the new produce, so we don't know exactly where we are heading.
Okay, and I want you to start thinking about how that pricing of 75 Kenyan shillings per 2 kg bag will eat into your profits as a farmer. I'll come back to you on that. Mr. Samogo, you're a business person. Yes. We did see this particular announcement being consumed differently by different persons depending on where the stakeholder sits. Millers were part of that particular announcement, and they said, some of them said, yes, indeed, we do support this pricing cap by Bwana Waziri. Is it the feeling among all millers? Or do a section of the small scale millers feel like the big boys were only consulted?
First, before we go to the millers, there's something that I want us to look at it. First, they need to consider the farm who is producing the product, and then the second thing, they need to note the cost of production. So before they come to the final product, of which is the flour, they need first to know the cost of production of this product, which is the flour. And then I think the biggest stakeholders are these farmers. They needed at least to bring farmers on board so that they can know the cost of production before coming to the final product, which is the flour. To me, saying 75 per 2 kg, it was not received by everyone with a good thing, especially those big millers. And what I can say, maybe the consumer can be happy because the prices are going down. But did they consider the farmer? Did they consider the big millers? Did they consider the small millers? So to me, it's something that they needed to come on board. The farmer, the millers, and all the business person. So as well as to bring this thing to a level ground.
Yes. Sheikh Abubakar, Mr. Mugo here anahoji kwamba the only person alikuwa consulted in this pricing sana sana ni mwananchi ambaye anashangwe sasa hivi manake bei ya unga imeletwa chini. Kwanza tuambie mitaani wanasema nini, wamefurahia ugali umepungua ama sasa watapata kula ugali mkubwa zaidi kwa pesa ndogo? How did they receive that information?
Kwa hakika hii mambo ya unga, chakula ndio inamgusa mwananchi moja kwa moja. Lakini tangazo la bwana waziri limetolewa wakati unga wenyewe uko chini bei yake. Kwa sababu tunapoingia katika supermarket unga wenyewe uko chini. Sasa kutoa tangazo lake halikuwa sahihi. Unapotoa tangazo ya kuteremsha bei ni kwa kuwa unga ulikuwa juu. Sahihi mitaani hawasherekei kwa sababu ndio bei walikuwa wakinunua hiyo ya 75 na chini hapo. Lakini la umuhimu katika haya ni kwa kuwa pia na mkulima aangaliwe kwa sababu mkulima pia ni wa chini. Mkulima ni watu wa chini. Na yeye aangaliwe namna anapopanda yale mahindi yake. Bei ambayo iko sahihi anaweza kukimu maisha yake, mahitaji yake pamoja na familia yake. Kwa sababu ikiwa nchi haina ukulima, nchi ile ni rahisi kupomoka. Wakulima wakikataa kulima, basi hakuna chochote kitaendelea. Watoto wetu wataingia mijini kwa wingi kwa sababu wanaona ukulima utakuwa hauna faida. Kwa hivyo hili kitu tukiangalia, tusiangalie kwa kulaji tu, tuangalie na wale wapandaji. Henda familia yote ikaingia miji ikajaa, ikashindwa kuhimili wingi la watu wengi kwa sababu watu wanaacha ukulima. Kwa hivyo hii yote serikali iangalie namna gani watawachunga wakulima ili ile bei ile chini Wanjiku apate kufurahia basi na mkulima kulia.
Let us bring you in on that, Bwana Chepsia. Will the price cap on maize have any impact on the revenues of the farmer?
Yeah, definitely, because you know exactly the cost of production determines the prices.
Yes.
So when it comes to let's say, even if they subsidize this fertilizer, like now they are over this fertilizer subsidized 300, it helps to reduce the cost. But definitely in terms of fuel and other BAM inputs, it has raised because of this BSC. So definitely the price should shoot up. So this price of 75 is not even valuable. It's right away it could be even 100 shillings. So that the price of maize should be around 33 to 35.
Yes.
So that the flexibility will be alright.
Yes. And does it mean, Bwana Samugo, that we are contradicting ourselves as a country because we want cheap unga while we are also increasing the cost of production, as Mr. Cheptaya notes, putting into mind that the taxing of materials used, of farm inputs used in farming has gone up?
Okay, what I understand, when you calculate the cost of production of producing this 90 kg maize, it's roughly 2,700. When you dictate the price of 2 kg flour, that is 75 kg, it's 75 shillings. Then who is going to pay the difference? Because it's like this flour is cheaper than the cost of production.
Right.
Now what we are saying that the coming next season the farmers will not be able to produce this maize because they will not have that enough capital. Because once there's a deficit before they enter into the next season. So I think it's a good thing for the government. First with the farmers. Before bringing anybody on board, they first seek the guidance from the farmers so that they can come up with the cost of production. When they're bringing the subsidies, fertilizers and everything on board, they have to consider everything.
And Mr. Chepsea, many times the government will argue that farmers have this tendency of holding the government at hostage when it comes to the pricing of maize.
No, that's not true, because the government, you know, the strategic boot reserve, it has been said a long time ago to be there, so that it will take care of the farming in this country.
Yes.
And beyond. So if it comes that the government is not ready to defend its farmers from exploitation, let us say, for example, they brought maize from Mexico to have exceeded the market. It has brought a problem to death. So the government itself should be serious on that matter.
Okay.
First of all, to take care of their farmers.
Okay.
Maybe providing loans to AFC and maybe farm machineries. So the company is reluctant anyway. And before we take a short break, you've told me you've been a farmer all your life, Mr. Chepsea. Describe your experience for the past, say, 2 or 3 years before we go to Nairobi and come back after a short time. What is your experience as a farmer for the past 2 or 3 years? Yeah, me being a farmer, I've been a farmer for long, but since 2013, the farming system became difficult. Just because I don't know what we missed where, but it has become the government were not serious, because people have been exploiting us. They have been importing other products from outside, maybe wheat, maize, so that our market here, you know, our
so
neighboring countries.
Difficult is the word.
Difficult, yeah.
Difficult is
our
the word.
neighboring countries around. Cheap imports mainly from Uganda, but the cost of production is about 1,200.
Great, and we'll come back to you, Mr. Chepsea. Tell me why you call it difficult, and if you want to pass it on to your children, now that you're a large-scale farmer. But in the meantime, I take you to Dann Mwangi in Nairobi. We'll be sure to continue with this conversation with my panelist here, Dan.
Surely, Lois, you're going to have the conversation continuing even in Nairobi, because we have the gentleman who was with the cabinet secretary yesterday. That's Peter Kuguru, who is the chairman of the Millers Association that was with the CS yesterday. That's a United Millers, Grain Millers Association. He's in studio with me. We shall be responding to some of the things there, some of the concerns of the farmers you have there, to just tell us why, you know, they feel they were not consulted. Is it that they did not consult? And Bwana Kuguru is going to speak to us in just a bit. But first, let's cross over to the county of Kiambu in Thika, where there's a requiem mass of Monica Kimani, who was found murdered in her apartment in Kilimani, and the man who's suspected to have been connected to that crime is in police custody. But for now, let's cross over where Leila Mohammed is standing by to give us a brief of what's happening at the requiem mass. Leila.
Well done. The celebration of the life of Monica Kimani has just begun. The body arrived about 10 minutes ago here at the Mount Kenya University grounds here in Thika. It is a somber mood, like would be any characteristic of a function like this when done. Family and friends have gathered. Majority of them are just saying they are not happy with how she lost her life. They are wondering how a young life that was brought into this world in 1990 could leave this world in such a heinous manner. That ceremony has just begun. Family and friends have gotten an opportunity to view the body, and that has been a very gruesome engagement for them. Some have been able to collapse, others have been taken away by Red Cross officials. The father and the mother of the deceased are also here. It is expected that the ceremony will begin anytime shortly, but we are aware that the suspect is already in remand. He has been remanded at the Muthaiga police station for the next 9 days. As of yesterday, it was 10. This is to allow the investigators to complete the investigations. They said they were going back to the home where the young lady was murdered, just to recheck and confirm the connection between the two, the suspect and the assailant, who is now a suspect, as well as they wanted to go to South Sudan, where she did business, and just to find out deeper connections between these two. And in 10 days he will be able to go back to court, and the process will begin proper. So for now it is a somber mood here at the Mount Kenya University. Family and friends have gathered. The ceremony has just begun. They are singing songs of praise to just thank God for her young life, and we'll be able to catch up with the ceremony. I will bring to you live those pictures as and when this happens. Done.
Very much, Leila Mohammed, and definitely it's a very sad mood. As much as a celebration of her life, it's inevitable to have this somberness that is clouding the place there. Nonetheless, we expect and we wait for Leila Mohammed to give us more information on the same. And like we said, this is the requiem mass and the celebration of the life of Monica Kimani, who was found murdered in her house in Kilimani, that's in Nairobi. And the gentleman who has been, that's Joseph Irungu, who was the suspect in that murder, is currently in police custody. He was before court yesterday. He has a bullet wound on his left shoulder, and so that was part of the grounds of his defense, asking that the court let him go free, but the court said he will be attended to when he's in custody. And we wait to see how that case plays out. And it's unfortunate we've got so many murders going on, or being reported at least in the past number of days, and most of them being for ladies and young ladies, and some of them we're still yet to see what further progress has been made since what was last reported. Now let's come back to the conversation about unga and the fact that the government says that you should not be buying your unga for more than 75 shillings for a 2-kilogram packet. And the conversation that was happening in our Eldoret studios, where Lois Wangui is having a panel, had some accusations on you, Mr. Peter Kuguru, the chairman of the United Grain Millers Association, and you're also the chairman of the Kenya National Food Fortification Association. But in regards to this, you're the one who was in the CS yesterday when you said that you discussed and agreed, but the farmers are saying they were not consulted, so they feel like something is being imposed on them.
Thank you very much, Dan. I want to inform you that the only authority in this country who can discuss the price of maize meal is either the Minister of Agriculture, at the moment Honorable Kijuri, or the United Grain Millers Association, which I am the chairman of. So when we issue a statement on price, we issue it with authority which is not challengeable, and we are looking at mathematics of arithmetic and logistics and all aspects of handling both the maize from the farmers and the input to the maize mill and the cost of distribution of the produced maize flour.
Okay, just to stop you there, you say that your view and your voice is not challengeable, but aren't you meant to be speaking on behalf of the same farmers who are having some discomfort in regards to how you're handling the case?
No. The farmers have got their costs.
Yes.
And the farmers' costs are not related to our costs. The farmers produce maize, and the government need to be concerned with the cost of production of maize. So the farmers need to mitigate where the farmers are feeling that they are not able to produce grain profitably. The government need to subsidize, because you see, if the farmers don't produce maize in this country and we import maize, we are subsidizing farmers from other countries. So it is cheaper for our government to subsidize our farmers so that they can release the maize to the market at a price that the consumer can afford. Because you see, Kenyan consumers are at a stress due to the high cost of living. And now, if the Kenya population cannot afford food, there will be food protest. And that is something we must protect. And therefore, we must sell the food at a reasonable price no matter what. So it's better for the government to subsidize the farmer. In fact, we are asking the government to allow the National Cereals Board to release all the maize they have to the millers at a cost of 1,400 shillings per 90 kilo bag, so that we can be able to give the consumers unga at even below 60 shillings per 2 kilo packet. At the moment, we have made our calculation, and we have seen at a price of 1,600 shillings per bag, which the farmers are selling their maize now through the brokers and transporters. We are receiving maize in our mills at 1,600 shillings per bag of 90 kilos. And we are prepared for, within that price, to sell maize meal 2 kilo packet at 75 shillings per kilo. And we are mandating all our millers in the whole country to release maize from their mills at a wholesale price of 800 shillings per bale of 12 packets of 2 kilos.
Okay, just on that, what is the economics behind, what is the calculation that has actually gotten to a point where we can say that based on ABCD, we can actually have 75 shillings being the price being sold without anybody being running at a loss?
Okay, we are calculating that if we receive the maize at 1,600 shillings per bag of 90 kilos, we shall be able to sell wholesale ex-factory, including all costs, at 800 shillings per bill. 800 shillings per bill converts to 66 shillings and 70 cents per packet.
Yes.
Therefore, if we release that to the market at 66 shillings and 70 cents per 2 kilo pack, then the market should be able, that's retailers and supermarkets, should be able to sell that flour at 75 shillings per packet of 2 kilos. And we want that to be enforced everywhere. And anyone who tries to sell the maize meal, the ugali flour, in a supermarket or shops above 75 shillings will have to face the enforcement authorities, because the police will be knocking on their doors, the KRA and other enforcement arms of the government, because we have agreed with the government that that is the price that can be enforced without anyone not failing to meet their obligations.
Okay, and so if this is something that you feel, even the economics, like you said, explains it, that, you know, it will be about 66.67 shillings, you know, and that means there's still a profit margin. Why did we have to wait until now? Why wasn't this implemented before, when the market forces showed this? Did we have to wait until it gets to a point where the government has come in?
No, 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 no. It didn't have to wait, because our millers have had discussions among themselves, and we are many. You know, our millers are representing 70% of the milling capacity in this country. That means we are milling 2.3 million bags of maize per month, our mill. So we had wanted to keep the prices subject to the laws of supply and demand. And our millers were selling between 800, 900, and you could see that the flour was fluctuating between 75 shillings to 90 shillings, because people want to make money also. But right now, we are saying the cost after VAT, the cost to the consumer is too much loaded for other products. And we must support the consumer so that at least he can afford food.
And let me ask you now, at what point did we get to where the prices could actually be accommodated at lower than the 80 shillings we're seeing now, the 90 shillings?
Well, okay, last week the Competition Authority, the Director of Competition Authority, Mr. Mukaya, wrote to me and told me that we have no business discussing price as a united body so that we can sell at one price. And I want to tell Mr. Mukaya he has no business interfering with the price of maize. This is a commodity which is subject to supply and demand, and he cannot control the price, but we can. So Mukaya should not at all interfere with our business. The minister now called us so that we can modulate for the benefit of the economy, so that our economy can grow, and at least we can meet the agenda 4 issues by increasing production, both in farms, and production, and increasing production within the industry. We want to expand our industries so we can employ more people, create employment, and we can only do that with sanity. Not a few people trying to make a lot of money.
No, sorry, my question was, at what point did we get to where we could have the prices brought down? Did we get to that point 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, or was it yesterday?
No, we've been discussing about it amongst our millers. We've got an association. It's not an individual decision. We've got an association, and we meet almost monthly, sometimes weekly. And we have been discussing, as the price of maize is actually going down, we've been discussing how to sell at a reasonable price. So number one, we do not undercut each other because we destroy the business. Number two, we do not sell to low prices where the farmers are forced to sell the maize to us through a high price. So we are considering a price which is equitable to everybody. So last week when the minister called me and said, can we meet? So I called all the millers. We agreed that this is a good price we can sell, and the minister also was happy, and I think the country will be happy. But the issue of the maize at a farm, because the minister says he's subsidizing on fertilizer, subsidizing on irrigation. That is a minister now, is a different department. It's got nothing to do with the millers, to support the farmers, so the farmers in this country can increase acreage and increase production. Because the minister said yesterday that this country, this year, we expect to produce 40 million bags. And you know, millers mill 36 million bags per year. That means we shall have a surplus of 4 million bags. And when we get such a surplus, whether the farmers want or not, the laws of demand will command that the price goes down. And that's what we don't want. We want to cushion them, so the price does not go too low down. At the same time, there is a lot of maize stored at the NCPB. For NCPB to buy fresh maize, they need to release the maize they have. And that's what we're telling the government. Release the maize you have before it reaches 24 months, because it will reach its sell-by date. Release it to us. We shall meet it so you can buy new maize and replace it.
Now, you've said that, you know, you spoke to all the millers, you consulted many people across the board by the time you're going to see the minister and you call them in. But ordinarily there has been a rift, from what we've seen in the past, between your association and the Cereal Millers Association.
The Cereal Millers Association before were the ones being consulted by the government and were making rules as barons, you know, people who do not care about small people. They were making rules for themselves. And that is what has destroyed the economy of maize meal in this country, because we're looking at how they can make a lot of money. And I don't blame them, because they're business people. What I'm saying now is that the CMA people are people who are milling more than 200 tons of maize per day, individuals. And they are not many. There are only about 20 of them. And again, they don't have big capacity. Their capacity in this country is 30%. So we do not want to ignore them. But we want them to come on board with us, that everyone now will sell their maize at 800 shillings per bale to the
Have
market.
you reached out to them?
We have not talked to them, but they need to listen to us, because we are the majority.
How will they listen to you if you're not talking to them?
We are the majority. And if we don't listen to us, and we put a maize at 800 bob, and they put it more, nobody will buy their maize. Again, because we agreed with the government will enforce that even them, they sell the maize at 800 bob. To them, trade. And the trade will now release the maize meal at 75 bob per two packet unit at 75 bob. And you don't want anyone selling. They can sell less, yes, but nobody should sell more.
All right. Just on that conversation, we had asked some of the residents of Eldoret on what they feel about the announcement about the 75 shillings per packet being the maximum price, and here's what some of them had to say.
Niseme kufukuza bei ile ya unga itakuwa imesaidia mtu mwenye anakula tu, lakini vizuri tujue kwamba hii unga inatoka wapi, sababu ule mtu ambaye ni mkulima, huyo ndio dhamana sana, kwa sababu yeye ndiye anatengeneza unga. So mimi ningeomba serikali ingefanya hii jambo liwe balance, wajali sana mkulima, kwa sababu sasa watakuwa wamefunja mkulima moyo, kwa sababu jinsi mkulima anavyolima, analima akitaka faida, lakini jinsi atakavyolima halafu akose faida, ninaona ule mkulima akivunjika moyo, igawa mwananchi wa kawaida atakuwa ameshiba. So tujajali sana kwanza ule mwenye analima, sababu ukiangalia diesel, uangalie sasa ile ukulima ule mtu fertilizer, hizo vitu bado bei iko pale juu, mbegu bado iko juu. So tutaweza kushiba kwa mwaka huu na mwaka ingine tuwe njaa, kwa sababu mkulima hatakuwa na uwezo wa kulima tena.
I'll speak on behalf of the consumers, and you know very well, if the maize flour price is reduced to 75, that means that for it to be okay to the consumer, they have to subsidize all products. In that, if maize flour is reduced by price, then other things also should be reduced. Like for example, if you find that maize flour has been reduced to 75 shillings, then there's also sugar, there's also cooking oil. There is so much products out here that also need to be looked into.
Mimi ni mkulima. Kitu ya maajabu sana tumeangalia kwa serikali sana kwa mahindi. Mahindi sasa hivi unapata mahindi 1500. Ukienda kwa fertilizer 1800 au kwa duka hata 2500. Sasa hata tungeomba serikali atusaidie, hata angetuwekea mahindi, tupime mahindi ya 50 kg ikuwa hata shilingi 2500.
For the government to come with a policy to reduce the maize flour price to 75 shillings, somehow it's good to some people who could not afford the 120 shillings. But to the farmer, it's not fair because they were not consulted. First, the production of the maize is so high.
Serikali hata wangetuona at least wa increase your pay ya mahindi ende mpaka around 23 at least. Kwa sababu ukiona vitu kama fertilizers, tunanunua fertilizers ila 50 kgs, tunanunua na karibu 2000. Haya, hapa naye kuna mambo na climate inatuaffect sana.
Bwana Kuguru, you've heard the Wananchi speaking,
yes.
Some of whom are farmers, and you can still see there's disquiet about it.
Yes.
There's disquiet about your decision. Do you still feel that their arguments are not justified?
I can understand the concern with the producer. That's a farmer.
Yes.
That I do concern, and I sympathize with them. And I have nothing to do with them because I'm a miller. And millers have got nothing to do with farmers because we handle grain after coming from a farm. But if I was a minister, and I'm sure the minister is very highly concerned, and the president is highly concerned, and the Jubilee government is also highly concerned about the farmer. So if I was a minister, I would subsidize the farmer, so the farmer can be able to produce grain and make money and sell it at a cheap price, where the consumer now can be able to absorb that maize and be happy to utilize it. So that because they cannot produce maize at high price and then people don't buy it because it's too expensive. So I think the minister is highly concerned, and he's told us yesterday that he's going to subsidize the farmers with the fertilizer, maybe even free fertilizer. I don't know how much he's going to do it, and irrigation, so that the farmers can grow even during the time of drought. So I do think that that concern is genuine.
And so in your conversations with the minister, as you're consulting so you can come up with this, at any point did you have a representative from the farmers? Because like you said that you represent the millers. Was there
UGMA is an authority on milling.
Yes.
And is an authority on milled maize. That means unga.
Yes.
It's not an authority before the maize reaches the mill. So we do not want to have anything to do with the miller because with the farmers, because we are the customers of the farmers. You understand?
Yes.
So they have to set their prices based on their production cost, and this is where the government comes to step the gap so that the millers can have cheaper input, so the farmers can cheaper input, so that they can produce maize which can be sold at affordable price to them and make money. We want the farmers to be able to make money in this country so that they can continue farming. But again, that's not why I'm here. And I've got no authority on that. My authority is only on milling, the UGMA, the fortification, and the price of unga. That is all. Before that time, I leave it to the minister. Before the issue of production at a farm, I leave it to the minister and the farmers. And they have farmers association, they have got farmers association to go and represent them to the government and to parliament so that they can be given subsidized inputs. We must have maize as subsidized because this country, everyone uses maize. 90% of the people. A few people use rice and other commodities. But majority use maize in one form or another, whether it is ugali, whether it is githeri, whether it is mudhokoi, whatever it is. They are using maize in one form or another. So they must be given maize at an affordable price. How it's produced is a means to go and subsidize the farmer, not us.
So basically your prices, what you're buying from the farmers is not touched. So you've been having the same price, then you realize that you can actually you reduce the price rather and still be profitable.
Our price is subject to supply and demand.
Yes.
At the moment, the price, like you had them say, is about 1,600 shillings. On that price, we must now base our unga. We must not sell at more than 800 shillings per bale if we are buying at 1,600. If the cereal board now release the maize to us at 1,400, we shall reduce the price of maize meal to 60 shillings. We don't want to make unfair money. We want to support the consumer. You know, we are like we're philanthropists. We want to help the consumer. We want to help the country. We want to help the economy to grow. We want to create employment. There's something else that comes up here, Dan, about fortification.
I will get fortification in just a bit because we will get to that. We'll just take a short break right now on NTV Today. We'll keep have the conversation going in regards to unga prices and the maize and the value chain, and you can see how Mr. Kuguru has pretty much spelled out how there's a difference in terms of value chain. The millers will handle their part, the farmers have their own part, but shall be getting back into this as well as continue the conversation in our Eldred studio where Lois Wangoi has a panel there. However, we take a short break, and as we take the break, we just leave with some pictures of the requiem mass for Monica Kimani, who, like we said, was found murdered in her house in Nairobi, that's in Kilimani. And so those are her parents and family members who are seated in front of her casket. It's a celebration of her life, like they say, but it's also a sad day for them. Definitely, it's a sad season. And we could also see the father had posted, her father, who's a man of the cloth, had posted some pictures on his Facebook page yesterday, just expressing how heartbroken he is. And those are some of the pictures coming to you from Thika Live. Welcome back to NTV Today, and we're glad you're staying with us. And before we get back onto our conversation about the prices of unga and maize meal, let's cross over to County Hall, that is in Nairobi, where we have there's a committee there that's grilling a few people. It's been grilling a few people. There's a police boss who was grilled, as well as the leader of majority, and this is in regards to the plans of ousting Beatrice Elachi and the drama that happened that day. Right now we have Mary Njambi, who is a nominated MCA in Nairobi. She's more known for her mapiripiri conversation. So let's listen into what she's saying at the meeting.
Lakini
screaming alone. The rest of the other members were not screaming.
Watu hawafanani. Pengine hawakuefektiwa vile mimi niliafektiwa. Unaona? Hata pengine watu hawakuenda. Mimi nilienda mpaka hospitali sababu mimi nisikia kitu imenipiga. Nikasikia kwa akili hata saa hii nataka niende niangaliliwe. Mimi naona ili affect mpaka kichwa.
So, that's the question. That's the question. According to the social media, the event that took place on that day, we need the public take our assembly serious.
Yeah.
Regarding the event that took place on that.
Yeah.
The public watachukulia hii assembly yetu serious according to what happened.
Kuchukua serious aje?
Because of taking our hand in tulichukua nguvu kwa mikono yetu kuenda na kustorm na ofisi ya speaker na kuleta sadis kamos. Do you support it?
Gani? Unajua?
No, you know it. Umesimiwa.
Okay, najua.
Yes.
But the question is, tuligojea, unajua ni vizuri tugegojewa tuonekane kweli tumeingia na fujo. Watu wameingia na fujo. Kuingia na fujo ni vibaya sana. Lakini mimi kwangu kama mama na kama kiongozi, mimi hata kama tulikuwa pamoja, mimi nilikuwa nataka kwenda nisimame upande ule wa speaker tuongee, yani tuone shida iko wapi. Unajua yeye ni mama kama mimi. Mimi siwezi ingia na fujo. Na mimi sikuona kama hakukuwa na hizo mavitu hizo. Tutungeingia na
Do you support that action ilifanyika?
Siwezi support.
From your side, from the speaker's side?
Siwezi support. Hiyo si mzuri.
So you also condemn it?
Sio mzuri, lakini mimi kwangu, ndio nakwambia mimi kwangu, si kuingia na fujo. Okay, wao wengine waliingia na fujo, mimi naona walifanya vibaya basi kama kuna hao. Najua sikuona tena.
Asante sana mheshimiwa Jambi.
Nina swali.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Jambi. Hii komiti ni komiti ya kutafuta amani. Na wakati ulisema unangojea labda mtu atatoka na huko akusaidie, hii komiti itakusaidia.
Asante.
Ndio sababu tuko hapa ili tuweze kusaidiana kutoka hapa, kwa sababu kwenda kule EACC ni kubaya zaidi. Lakini swali langu wako ni hiyo tabia ilifanyika siku hiyo. Hiyo kitendo kilifanyika siku hiyo. Inaweza kudhurumu ama kudhuru ile honorary, yani heshima ya hii kaunti yetu ama hii assembly yetu. Na kwa sababu inaonekana ni kitendo ambao hakikuenda vizuri sana. Unaweza sema watu watasema namna gani? Watatuchukua kama honorable members ama watatuchukua seriously ama watatuchukua namna gani?
Kitendo gani?
Hiyo kitendo ya siku hiyo ile ilifanyika. Kwa sababu ilifanyika na ikaenda kwa kila mtu.
Unajua sikujua.
Wakaona kwa TV.
Sikuona vizuri. Si unajua mimi kuna vitu yenyewe mimi siwezi ongea. Sababu mimi unajua mtu huona na macho ndio niseme hiyo kitu niliona zilikuwa mimi sikuona. Si mimi nilikuwa naona ndimu. Mimi hakuna kitu niliona. Maybe kama wale wengine waliingia waka misbehave, hiyo ni mbaya. Hata mimi siwezi taka kitu kama hiyo. Lakini mimi nilikuwa mgonjwa.
Asante sana.
Mr. Chairman. Mheshimiwa Jambi. Kwa mtandao
kuna picha ambayo imeenea sana. Wewe na wenzetu wengine hiyo siku, sababu tukiona hiyo siku zile nguo ni zile mlitumia hiyo siku. Kuna picha ambayo inaenea sana kwa mtandao, ikiwa wewe na wenzetu wengine mlikuwa mna keti mahali, ikiwa mnanywea pombe na vinywaji aina hizo. Unaweza sema ya kuwa inaweza kuwa ulikuwa mlevi wakati na wewe na wenzetu wengine ulikuwa mlevi?
Mheshimiwa, nafikiri
hiyo swali nimeulizwa na nimejibu.
Mwenyekiti, kwa heshima yangu kama mwenye kamati nimpate hasa anaweza kujibu vile naelewa. Kwa hivyo kwa heshima na hekima yako tafadhali naomba nijibu.
Okay.
Ndio naona ni repeat sana.
Mwenyekiti tafadhali. Naomba ujibu. Unaweza sema vipi kuhusu hiyo picha ambayo inaenea sana kwa mtandao?
Nimesema na nimerepeat. Kitu ya kwanza, mimi ni mtu ameokoka. Sawa? Mimi niliingia kwa hoteli. Hiyo ni hoteli. Nikapata MCA wenzangu. Na kuna jamaa alikuwa hapa mwisho. Na ukiangalia sana mimi niko hapo mwisho. Nikakuja nikaambia jamaa, excuse me, unaweza tupatia nafasi nataka tuongee kitu na hawa watu. Akaniambia wacha niende kwa toilet. Akaenda kwa toilet, mimi tukaendelea tu kuongea, mimi niko mwisho. Na ukiangalia mimi kwanza pahali nimekaa hivi, na utoa hiyo picha saa hii. Pahali nimekaa hivi na hizo chupa mnasema juu nirudi kuangalia baadaye ziko huku. Mimi haziko pahali niko. Mimi nilikuwa sopa kama jaji na nikakunywa chai hapo. Chai niliitisha chai na mandazi mbili. Ndio nikarudi nikatoka. Jamaa akakuja akatupa vitu zake, akaenda pale, nikamwambia asante kwa sababu ya kutupatia nafasi.
Asante sana. Kuna mtu mwingine kuna swali kwa Jabi?
Acha niulize question moja. Mheshimiwa Jabi, kutoka hiyo siku mpaka leo kuna barua yoyote wewe binafsi umereceive kutoka kwa hii EACC? Sijapata barua.
Okay. Sawa. Kama hakuna swali lingine, asante sana Mheshimiwa Jabi for coming. If need be, tunaweza kuita tena kwenye kamati.
Mimi nimeshukuru.
Uko tayari?
Nimeshukuru na niko tayari kurudi, na pia mimi ningewaomba pia muangalie haki yangu, sababu pia mimi ni binadamu na mimi nimeumia na sijui kitu itanipelekaje, pia nipate haki. Mnisaidie tafadhali.
Asante. The last person is Anthony Kirago. Anthony Kirago.
In regards to the day when there was drama, when there was the efforts to get Beatrice Elachi out of office as the Speaker of the County Assembly of Nairobi. And we shall be following up. Olive Barrows is at County Hall where she's going to be getting the information for us, because that was not the only person who was being grilled by the Powers and Privileges Committee of the Nairobi County Assembly. But we get back to a conversation on bread and butter matters. No piri-piri here. And we want to cross over the county of Bungoma, where Zacchaeus Mosame is standing by to speak to some people, because like has been said and like is known across the board is that issues to do with bread, bread and butter rather, but unga affects everyone. So let's get a sense of what the feeling is in the county of Bungoma. Zacchaeus.
Thank you so much, Dan. We are coming to you live from Kimilili in Bungoma County, where, as you rightfully mentioned, we are here to actually just get the sentiments of Wananchi concerning the issue of unga debate. You have to understand that this is one of the counties that directly depends on unga, that is maize as its staple food. And when you talk about this issue of unga, this is the area where people are much concerned. We are just outside a posho mill. You remember that this is an area that depends on how, processing flour locally in a posho mill, and we are just here to find out exactly what is happening here. It's lunchtime, and we have had some mamas working in the posho mill to process the unga. But as you can see here, this is a 2 kg bale that is going at the price of 40 shillings, just because these are harvesting season for the maize, and we have 1 kg that's going at 20 shillings. It has gone as low as 20 shillings for 1 kg. Maybe we will want to get one of the operators here. My friend, what's your name, and maybe how is it, the government yesterday announced that this 2 kg should go to as low as 75. Are you affected?
Yeah, I'm affected because as I am buying the maize, I'm affected because I buy maize for, when I buy for 50 shillings, then I'm supposed to get a profit of maybe 10 on top.
So when you sell at 75, I think that one is still a profit. You still have.
Yeah, it is still a profit.
So what's your take to the government? Do you agree with the government that it should be at 75, or do you think you're going to be affected?
No, when I buy for 70 and I get for 75, I think that one is a good profit. So I urge the government to buy for us maize in a good price.
But now it's returning at 40. This is 40 shillings. If you process and you sell that maybe at 60, you still have 20 shillings profit.
No, I'm not selling at 60, but I'm buying at 40 and I sell for 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still have. So I think you still make some profit there. Yeah, so ongea Kiswahili useme ueleze kwa Kiswahili.
Oh, basi. Sasa hii mahindi mimi nanunua kwa shilingi 40. Alafu na nikiusia mteja wangu nitamuuzia kama 50 hivi.
Okay. Na kusiaga kwa sababu kuna uwezekano ulisemekana kama pia nyinyi wakati wa kusiaga mlipandisha bei ya kusiaga kwa sababu ya mafuta ilipanda. Labda hebu tueleze kwa ufupi kidogo. Mnaweza kuathirika kwa vitu vile?
Ya, tuliathirika kwa sababu hata mwenye anakuja kununua na kusiaga mafuta imepanda, pia moto ingawa mimi natumia sitima. Lakini hiyo imepanda kwa kulingana na mafuta. Hiyo mwananchi wa kawaida anaathirika. Sasa naomba serikali iweze kushukisha chini mafuta ili mwananchi awe na maisha mazuri.
Thank you so much. What's your name?
Ngala Tobias.
Tobias Ngala, he's a posho mill operator here. He says he has done this job for the past 26 years and is still not ready to hang his boots either. But that is the sentiment. We will actually talk. We have some mamas who are not ready to speak to us. But anyway, that is the situation. Ugali is the main staple food here in Bungoma, and as you can see, they say that the price is actually not affecting people so much because this is a harvesting season, and it is retailing at exactly 40 shillings per 2 kg tin. That means that if somebody gets at 40 shillings, he processes, then he can sell at 60, he still has some price. So the government price of 75 shillings is still very comfortable with most of the processors here in the Bungoma. Back to you, Dan.
Very much, Zachis Mosame, for that context in terms of the prices and what the feelings are for those who are having the trade in that part of the country that is in Bungoma. And as I was speaking with Bwana Kuguru here, he's come up. There's something that have come up. We had some of the farmers across the different parts of the country have had complaining about being involved. And Bwana Kuguru, you've said that as the millers, you went and did your thing as the millers.
Yes.
And so we want to see whether the millers who are, and some rather the farmers, agree with you, and that is that we've got some of them who are in the Eldoret studio with Lois Wangoi. So Lois, when I was having the discussion here, like I've said, there was that aspect of the farmers should...
I should have commented on that posho miller.
Okay, let him comment on the posho miller, then we can go to Lois, just very briefly.
I want to give the public the knowledge of the difference between a posho miller and a miller. Because a posho miller is a crusher of maize. He buys maize as it is. He does not clean it. He does not do anything to it. He puts it in a hammer mill and crushes it the way it is and sells it with the way it is. And that maize, number one, is very healthy. It is the way maize meal should be. But that maize meal, because it's crushed the way it is, has no keeping quality. It cannot, if you keep that maize for 2 weeks, it goes off. It starts becoming bitter because it is a whole meal. It contains everything. What the millers do is to, first of all, to remove the bran, and then they remove the jam. So there are things they remove from the maize that increases the price of the maize. And then when they produce the sifted maize meal, which is different from the whole meal from a crusher, when they produce a sifted maize meal, that maize meal has got a keeping quality of not less than 6 months.
Okay.
But it's more expensive.
Okay. Point has been communicated, and that means that we should not expect them to even get to 75 shillings themselves.
No, they should. 40 bob is good enough. 40 bob is good enough. 40 to 50 is good enough for crushed maize.
Okay.
For hammer meal. But you know, we have said that all millers, including hammer mill millers, should all join United Grain Association by 1st of January 2019.
Okay.
So that you can talk with one voice.
Okay.
So every miller, I want to give notice to every miller in this country who is not milling above 200 tons per day to join United Grain Millers by 1st of January 2019.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a bit. Lois, over to you and your panel on what they feel about the fact that the millers have done their part, and so the farmers need to do their part. Have the farmers, maybe they can tell us, have they made any formal approach to the government, and what has the feedback been?
Many thanks, Dan and sorry, dear viewer, for that technical hitch. Indeed, it will be interesting to just get that feedback from my farmers here, Mr. Kulum, if I could bring you in. The millers say they were consulted on their own part. Now, question is, as farmers, already you've told us you are not consulted when Waziri made these particular pricing on a 2 kg bag of unga, and right now you tell me that indeed it will eat into your profits. So are there structures that you use to express yourselves and to make sure that you do not miss out of such very, very important discussions? And why you did the national government of course reach out to you farmers? What exactly is your situation, or did you just see Waziri live on TV making these particular pricing declaration? Mr. Kulum.
Thank you, Lois. Well, first and foremost, you are not consulted. These are just part declarations, roadside declarations. They are announcing without even consulting us, because as farmers, as producers of maize of this country, we are not consulted, and we have our own group. I was shocked to see it on TV that CS Mwangi announcing without even telling us. He just went there and met with millers.
Do you have structures? Do you have like a body that reaches out to CS Mwangi Kunjuri? And previously, when you have had discussions or engagements with him, how did you approach it?
Well, we met with Kunjuri last time, and we discussed the issues. But what he didn't mention yesterday was not what we discussed. I am told he met with some millers. There's no bars or no represented farmers of this country, particularly maize farmers. So he declared his own, he pronounced his own prices. But if they are comfortable with that, then we have no argument. But what I wish to tell you is this: to produce 1 bag of 90 kg costs a farmer 2,700.
Right.
So if they are comfortable with that, then we have no argument. Let him go ahead. But next time,
Mr. Kolum, let me chip in it. If they are comfortable, let them announce the price now. The millers to announce the price that they bought local maize from the farmers, but not 1,800.
How much are the millers buying a 90 kilogram bag of maize from farmers right now?
As we speak, they are buying at between 1,400 for 90 kilos to 600, to 1,600.
And how much does it cost you to produce that?
2,700. That means we are losing about, if they are buying at 14 or 1,500, then we are losing about 1,200 asara. Asara tubu. And just to mention that I was trying to do silaging from my maize. I hope you saw in the Citizen TV.
Yes.
I did that, but along the somewhere along the way, my maize went dry, and you know you cannot do when the maize is dry.
And that was your way of trying to fight.
I was just trying to salvage it so that I get where to put more maize in my stores, because I have no room. I have not sold all my maize. I still have maize in my stores. So as we speak now, my stores are still full.
Okay, before we get to that, Mr. Mugo, you're a businessman, yes. And you told me at times you do the business of being a middleman in the business of maize, whereby you will go to a farmer like Mr. Kolum or Mr. Chepsaya, buy their maize and sell to the government or to millers. Do you think, or there's this conversation that actually the middlemen yourselves, you make a lot of money or even more money than the farmer who has been toiling for close to 8-9 months? And what goes on in your minds as Kenyans, even as you make these profits? Do you think that these particular farmers are actually wasting their time? And from where you sit, probably as a middleman, what sort of profits do you make?
Okay, here in this region of our Singishu, mostly we do businesses from starting from there November up to March, April. At times we go to this farmer, the interior sites, and then we get these bags of maize,
right.
And then we get a profit of 200 per bag or 300 depending if you have your own transportation cost.
Right.
And then during that period, when you calculate your profits, you make even more profit than the farmer himself. So to me, what I can add the government is to see the way they can lower the production cost of this maize to the farmers. Because when the production cost is high, the farmers are really suffering. But us as middlemen, as business people, we don't have an option because we're in business.
Right.
But when you calculate the profits, really, you're making a lot of profits within a short period of time, and the farmer has suffered a long time to produce this, this maize. Yeah, so we need the government needed to come up with a structure to lower the production cost of this maize.
Right, and I want to bring you in, Mr. Kolum, before I come to you, Mr. Chepsai. You noted that farmers were actually very, very empowered financially a few years back, and you're even giving me a very good example, telling me you people farmers used to buy new vehicles every year. But now you are telling me it is very difficult to spot a farmer who's driving the latest car registration number, probably a KCR. Just how has life changed for farmers these few past years, where farmers have not been able to make much, and specifically grain farmers, farmers who do maize and wheat?
Thank you, Luis, for that question. It's a very important question. And the answer is this. Some years back, a farmer was honored. If you went to a bank, you are considered a very important person. And like these days, when you go visit a manager asking for some finance, they will refer you to a teller, because they don't trust us anymore, simply because we have not been paid. Look, for example, we delivered maize in January 2018, and it is now 10 months down the line, we have not been paid. Interest is growing up. Like those went to AFC, those went to other financial institutions in this town.
Right. So
gone are the days when farmers were very important. We are now very useless people, as I speak, because you would even go to Pogol's garage, book a tractor, you're given a tractor. Then when you deliver your maize, you are paid for the maize.
Right.
Then you go and pay for the tractor. We used to go by numbers as farmers of this county. We used to go by numbers. Every year you must buy a new car because you had money. And what was going on well. But now, try going anywhere. You will not be given even machinery. No, nothing, because we don't have money.
So financial institutions and partners do not trust you.
They are running away from us. Yes, they are running away from us because we have not been paid. Like I told you yesterday, if you see a vehicle with parastatal number,
yes,
You enter us to the toilet. I'm going to go mind ndani.
Yeah.
You let yourself there because they are coming to ask for their dues, and it's not a criminal offense. No, it is their right. But where do you give them?
Yes.
We have sold all the gas we had just to meet with financial, constraints that follows us. Yes.
And Mr. Chipsaya, before we went on our first break, you described farming as being difficult for you the past 5 years. Now my question is, you're a large-scale farmer and you have children. Would you want to pass on that to your children, the art of farming? Would you want your children perhaps to become farmers, or have you changed the strategy? Is it like the way your fathers did? They passed on the art of farming to you current farmers that you have, but would you want to pass that to your children?
Thank you very much, Lois. That is a very good question. In simple terms, how can you pass a problem to a problem? Because yourself you are in trouble, and you are inviting other people to a trouble like that. So it is a time that we call this business of farming goodbye, just because if the Kenyan government is not honoring its own farmers, and they are saying the agriculture is the backbone. You understand?
Yes.
So how comes that they are not servicing the farmers well?
Yes.
So these are that sort of whatever. So personally, I don't encourage anybody, especially my children, to do the same business that I'm struggling to do.
Yes.
Yeah, because it leads us to a very dead drop. Yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Samugo, do you think that the government is putting enough policies, enough measures to cushion or to even help our farmers, even in years to come, if not today? Because currently, as it is, this is a crisis.
To me, what I can say about what the government ought to do for the farmers, one is to lower the production cost of this maize. What they need to do, they need to come up with a structure whereby if it's the farm implements, they come up with a structure where the farmers will be coming to hire these maybe if it's the machineries at a very low cost. At the same time, to provide with fuel for all the planting season, for harvesting, such that this production cost of the farmer may come lower. So I think the government needs to come up with a very clear structure to lower the production cost, and that is the only solution that the government can do to this farmer, so that this farmer can produce for the labor that is doing of producing the farm produce.
And I'm sure
to add on top what they have said, those years when we were growing up, we had colored fuel that was meant to be for farmers and farmers only. That was subsidized by the then government. And if they could do the same, then those other years also, they used to give us tractors, yes, arrows, plows, disc and multiboard, whatever you wanted.
All farm machinery.
All farm machinery. You are well equipped. But these days, what we are using are all the tractors. Somewhere along the road, you must have some water because the radiator is leaking. So, if the government would support us, we are willing to feed this nation. We are giving supply to give enough food to this country. Like I know the president has 4 pillars.
But before you get to the 4 pillars, and rightfully so what I'm sure you have had conversations amongst yourselves. So what are you looking into, or what is the way forward? Previously we have seen a bit of mandamano here and there, kidogo kidogo. So as farmers, what is the conversation amongst yourselves? What next?
Well, I had an opportunity yesterday of talking to the Senate, and they looked friendly, and if they can follow and do what the petition that we gave to them, if they follow that one, then we have no problem. And I have a lot of faith in the Senate, because they have come all the way from Nairobi. Although at one time we had also some MPs, I accommodated them in my chamber. I brought them to my chamber. There were about 16 MPs and 4 principal secretaries. They were in my chamber. But if they can implement what we told them yesterday, then I can see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, one more thing. Is it a thing story to visit, like the issue of Comesa?
Yes.
You know, when they
the
come,
free market.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have to consider that because other countries, the cost of production is down. Like now, ours in Kenya, we cannot compare with that of Uganda. So it is a very big challenge because they cannot compare. So they have to revisit that. The Comesa. Yeah.
So the free market thing, and I remember yesterday during the county hall meeting, there was Madam Chepkoech, if I'm not wrong. Chepkoech. She did not, even as we have the free market thing, then farmers would advise for the government to uptake the Kenyan farmers' maize first. How does the market affect you? We'll come into that. But now we have a very big issue. Farmers have started harvesting. Others have so much maize still stored in their granaries, in their stores. And now we have this new pricing. Where does that leave the farmer?
The farmer is no longer anywhere to be, to be content because, as you said, maize is ready for harvesting. I told you mine went dry when I was still doing silaging. So we are in, it's a big challenge actually, but if we would be consulted, if the government could come, sit down with us, then reason with us, we would give them ideas. But now, you see, when they go around doing things without consulting us, then it becomes a challenge. It's a big challenge actually, but where we are going to harvest this maize, and remember, Lois, the budget was 1.4 billion. That's not even enough. That's very little money. Last year we had 10.3. But now where are we going to get this money to do budgets of the produce of this year? I hope the government is going to sit down, discuss, then let us know, because I don't see anything.
Like the case of this year, they don't have a proper plan for the budgets of this grains this year. The best example is if they are not serious to pay the balance of 3.5 billion, they are still holding up to now. There's no seriousness beyond here. Just because they are coming with dog, and then they go back to Nairobi. They just smile going back because they have been given their allowance and whatever. That they do nothing. We have been cheated 3 times. Kiunjuri came here on June. He gave us 21 days to be paid.
Okay, that never happened.
Never happened. We went to the Parliament National Assembly. We were given another 21 days. We raised our problem and we questioned them who brought this maize that flooded the market, especially the one from Mexico. They told us they don't know. We need to give them the answers. We told them we are not the shadies. It is not our work. We are coming here. They say, okay, what do you want? Money. Go there. The money will be there in the next day. 21 days they change agriculture to devolution. So they say, you wait, the devolution will pay you.
Oh, devolution ministry will pay you.
After 14 days, the money 1.4 billion wakatangaza kwamba imekuja. Kidogo we don't see, kidogo petting. So we will come to be petted to be paid. We asked a lot of questions. Surprisingly, our part of our farmers were arrested. They were said they were cartels. So they were buying time, chasing the what I don't know. But up to now, we are not seeing anywhere. We are not getting anywhere.
There's no light. I wanted to come to the county governments, because agriculture, we understand, is a devolved function, and the role that county governments have been playing now that structures have been put in place through the county governments to try and also address the issue of farmers. Do you feel like the county governments are adequately empowered through devolution to address some of the concerns our farmers could be having? For instance, yesterday during the county hall meeting with the ad hoc committee at the Senate with the farmers, there's a farmer who noted that the distribution of subsidized fertilizer is a problem. So do you feel our counties are adequately empowered on the same?
Okay, as much as we are talking about devolution, it's not fully devolved. Because when you talk about payment, when you talk about the subsidies, when you talk about everything about maybe business and farming, it reaches a point where you will talk about the national government.
Yes.
So I think it's not fully devolved. So I think counties are doing so little on what they can help the farmers. I think what the counties they are doing, they are just doing what they can do to help the farmers, especially maybe when the farmers want to get maize from the interior sites, from the interior places. The only thing that the county can do is just to make sure that these roads, they are not badly off, to enable the farmer, infrastructure, just to enable, and it's not that they do much on the roads, it's just to enable the farmer to bring the produce. Another thing that I can say about the farmers, and a solution that I think the farmers, it's just to make a very vocal body, a body that can speak on behalf of the farmers, because what I'm saying is like there is a disconnection between the national government and who is speaking on the farmers. So they need to come up with a very vocal and a very strong body of which that body can speak on behalf of the farmers.
Of course,
and not even that alone. Let the national government surrender automatically the devolution of agriculture to the counties. That is fully, so that farmers will face the counties directly and they will coordinate easily.
Okay, and of course we cannot end this conversation on this particular day. I'll be sure to invite you in subsequent days to continue with the conversation. Of course, farmers from the North Rift through this panel, if it is their sentiments are anything to go by, expressing a lot of disappointment without price capping of unga, saying farmers are not consulted and it will indeed eat into their profits, putting in mind that they also have other challenges that have since been introduced by the government. For instance, the increase in cost production, which is being affected by the increase of tax on a number of inputs and farm machinery that they use for their wheat and maize production. And of course, the conversation continues. We leave it at that from here in our direct studios, and I take you to my colleague Dann Mwangi to continue with the same in Nairobi. Dan?
Thank you very much, Lois, for that, and definitely conversations that need to keep going so we can get some clarity and understanding of the issues around this. And I'm still with Bwana Kuguru here, Peter Kuguru, and we've heard some of what the gentlemen there have said when they're speaking to Lois. And one of them spoke about, one of the farmers said, this is not something he'd even encourage his children to get into. From where you sit, is this something you'd encourage your children, basically generations to come to
what the farmers are saying is very true and relevant. And what the government need to do is to really seriously get intercepting to farmers' costs and help them, so that the farmers can even get free certified grain, so that they can produce good quality maize. They can get free fertilizer at the cost of the taxpayer. So because they produce maize for the taxpayer, they produce maize for the country consumers, so they should be given free certified grain, free fertilizer. They should be assisted, as they say, with machinery so that they can do commercial farming and even harvesting. Because to the miller, to us a miller, maize is not maize. We look at quality. Some of the farmers give us maize with aflatoxin. Why? Because they harvested wrongly, they kept it for a long time speculating, it got a little bit wet, therefore it looks like maize, but not maize. Some of the grains of maize are very small and round. Those are not good for milling. Some of the maize we receive has got too much chaff and other ingredients. They are not maize. So to the miller, maize is not maize. We want good quality maize, and it can only be produced and handed to us when the farmer takes all precautions, and the farmer need to be assisted so that as he takes precautions, he makes money. If a farmer is not making money, he has no business farming. Therefore, I sympathize with them, I support them. What they are saying is relevant, and the government needs to support them. For us as millers, we are saying let all millers, including portion millers, everyone who is in the milling business, join UGMA, United Grain Millers Association, so we talk with one voice, so we can support a farmer and support a consumer, because we shall become like middlemen, only handling maize for milling. We want to give maize meal, good quality maize meal to the consumer, and buy good quality maize from a farmer.
And currently, you're also buying from other countries, aren't you? That's Uganda, Tanzania.
You see, the shame of the thing is that if I buy maize from South Africa, I'm buying a bag of 900 shillings per bag. How come the farmer in South Africa is growing maize cheaper, the same maize, than the farmer in Kenya? Because some of those farmers in other countries get subsidies. Malawi sells their maize at almost less than 1,000 bob per 90 kilo bag. So why we should ask ourselves in Kenya why, and we should subsidize the farmer so that he can sell his maize and make money at below 1,000 shillings per 90 kilo bag, so that the miller can land the ugali flour to the consumer at 50 bob. You see, our children go to school.
But what do you think is causing us not to get there? Where is the problem, if we can pinpoint it?
The problem is cost of economy. You know, cost of supply and demand. If you allow the farmer to go to the aggregate shops to buy a fertilizer, and these guys want to make money, he'll buy fertilizer at a price which is not able to subsidize, to sell the maize at a good price, because aggregate guys want to make money. The value chain need to be reduced, so the government deals with the farmer direct, because the farmer surely must make money. And if he's tilling his garden, planting grain, some of them now cannot afford certified grain, so they're planting the maize from a previous crop, and that is not good, because that reduces quality of the crop. So the farmer must be subsidized. Again, sometimes the farmer is at the mercy of rain, climate changing. So when a farmer plants 1,000 acres of maize and the rain does not come and all that crop dries, who subsidizes him? The government need to come in, because he will be able to plant next year. So we need to consider the farmer, but at the same time we need to consider the consumer.
Okay.
We need to consumer the first and foremost, because unless the consumer is consuming it, either the farmer will not grow it.
Okay, I just want, in closing, because we need to wrap this up because time is far much gone, you have a concern about the fortification arrangement that is there in Kenya. Briefly tell us what the issue is and what your proposal is.
The law on fortification was made by the government in consultation with the big millers, and the big millers were given dosing equipment so that they can buy premixes to mix with the unga, so that they can add nutrients to the unga. You see, that kind of law, when it becomes universal, that even a portion miller, every miller must add premixes, it becomes a nonsense. Because number one, you don't know who is supplier of the premix. You cannot test a premix, because if your mill, say for example, cost you 1 million shillings, and testing equipment is going to cost 5 million bob, are you going to buy testing equipment? So most of the millers, small millers, cannot buy and afford to buy testing equipment, so that when they add premix, they can test the unga to see if it meets the quality. When a bill of standard people come to take your sample, they are charging you.
Okay.
And we cannot afford that. That adds a value. So we want a government to scrap the fortification equipment for maize with premix for small millers. They should only enforce it for mills above 200 tons per day. Everybody else should be exempted. And you know, these Kenya Bureau of Standard guys are taking advantage. Now they are going around harassing small millers and taking bribe to allow you to continue milling.
It means the small millers are giving bribes.
Yeah, they are giving bribe because they must continue milling. And if KBS officials are coming and saying, unless you give me 5,000 bob, I'm closing your mill. And they must continue. Okay. So to prevent us taking advantage and harassing our people, Kenya Bureau of Standards should stop harassing our people, and the Ministry of Health should scrap the fortification for maize mill for millers below 200 tons per day.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kuguru. We have to stop there. He's Peter Kuguru. He's the chairman of the United Grain Millers Association, as well as the chairman of the Kenya National Food Fortification Association. There's so much more we could speak about, but right now time is not on our side. But thank you for speaking to us, and we wait to see whether the benefits of what has been proposed and agreed are going to actually trickle down to everybody amid all the concerns that are there. Now it's time to take a look at what's happening on the entertainment scene, and Usha Oze joins us now for this.
Right, and as usual, we do start local, and I will be telling you about the latest music, which does come from Brian Nadra, the youngest artist signed under Decimal Records, who has released a song with reggae roots known as Manself. Now, it's actually a really deep song about the things that are going wrong in our country and really the whole world. Check it.
Good afternoon and welcome to NTV at 1 at the continuation of NTV Today. My name is Dann Mwangi. Migori Governor Zachary Okoth Obado's bail application ruling is set to be delivered by Justice Jesse Lesit at the Milimani Law Courts this afternoon. Obado, who has been in custody since Friday over his involvement in the murder of Sharon Otieno, at least that is the suspicions, pleaded not guilty to the offense on Monday. The governor, through his lawyers, later applied for bail, but the prosecution objected, stating that the accused will interfere with witnesses who had already received threats and intimidation from unknown persons. Obado's personal assistant, Michael Oyamo, who was the first suspect to be arrested, is being remanded at Industrial Area Remand Prison after pleading not guilty to the murder charge. Now, Monica Kimani, the lady who was found murdered in her house in Kilimani, funeral services, requiem mass, I beg your pardon, is currently ongoing in Thika in the county of Kiambu. And let's listen in as the county governor, Ferdinand Wetito, speaks.
Mimi najua vile unasikia. Tafadhali tuombee area yetu ya Kiambu, na tuombee nchi yetu, na tuombee wale watu wanaweza kuwa na roho kama hiyo. If anything, wajulikane mbele na wafanye makosa ingine kidogo iwaweke ndani. Na watu kama hao zaidi, mimi naona accident, mimi nasemanga si mtu kama huyu angekuwa kwa hiyo accident apotelee hapo. Na wale ambaye wako kwa bunge saa hii, kwa sababu hii maneno imekuja kwa katiba mpya, tunawaomba wabadilishe hiyo sheria ya kupeana bond kwa watu ambaye wana face murder na capital crimes. Hawatakiwi kuachiliwa kwa vyovyote na bond. Atuwakae hapa nje, na wale ambaye hawana hatia ama wale amedhulumu, wawe wakikutana na mtu kama huyo kwa barabara. It's not only interfering with witnesses, lakini mwenye mtoto ama mwenye familia akikutana.
And we hope that justice is served. Now let's cross counties. And heavy rains experienced on Wednesday have wreaked havoc in parts of Mombasa County. Some of the residential estates have been hit hard by the deluge, with residents having to wade through pools of water to access their homes. Kevin Mutai has the details.
There was a heavy downpour in Mombasa on Wednesday afternoon through to Thursday morning. The rains have left many residential houses submerged, forcing residents and motorists to wade through the flash floods. Several roads are also flooded, causing traffic snarl-ups in some of the major highways in the city. The rains have also reportedly affected many operations, especially construction of some of the roads near the port, forcing contractors to halt operations. Some of the areas most affected include Nyali, Kisauni, Mlaleo, Bamburi, Mishomoroni and the CBD. On Wednesday, the downpour affected beach operations along the coastal strip, with the rains and the high-speed winds forcing most of the tourists to seek shelter. The weatherman has cautioned members of the public, saying the rains are expected to go on for the next few days. Fishermen have also been asked to take caution due to the raging tides in the sea. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Let's come back to the capital, and Robinson Dhuku, who's the former OCPD Central and the current sub-county commander, appeared before the Nairobi County Assembly's Power and Privileges Committee, as well as Abdi Gulie, who's the leader of Majority, and Mary Njambi, who's a nominated MCA. And we had some of those proceedings live earlier on, but now we're crossing over to County Hall, where Olive Barrows is standing by. Olive, give us a sense of what happened and what is the tone of the conversations there. This is in regard to the impeachment of the county speaker.
Thank you, Dan. It's actually Abdi Guyo, who is the majority leader of the Jubilee Party in the Nairobi County Assembly. Him, together with the sub-county police commander Robinson Thuku, followed by Mary Njambi, who is a nominated MCA, and the third MCA to appear before the Power and Privileges Committee of the Nairobi County Assembly was Anthony Kiragu, who sponsored the impeachment motion against the Speaker Beatrice Elachi. Well, the committee sought to establish what transpired earlier this month when the MCA sought to forcefully eject Elachi from office. When Ms. Mary Njambi appeared before the committee, as you recall, she was the MCA who complained of having a firi-firi thrown into her eyes by the Speaker Elachi. She said that she did not seek to forcefully eject the Speaker, but as a mother and as a woman only sought to speak to the Speaker until she felt assaulted by Elachi's action of spraying that pepper spray. She says she's considering filing a criminal complaint against the Speaker, together with Anthony Kiragu, who also said that he intends to file a criminal complaint against Elachi. They changed the script. They sought to rewrite history, saying they did not seek to forcefully eject her from office, and turning the tables on her and saying that she sought to act in, or rather they sought to defend themselves against her assault. They described her actions in those exact words, and that is an assault. Behind me, the committee is sitting down to confer on what transpired this morning before they adjourn for the afternoon session on the floor of the House, and they will write a report. The chairman of that committee is Naftali Madhenge. When Robinson Thuku, who is the sub-county police commander, appeared before the committee, he says he was assaulted by the MCAs and said that they need to act honorably. Ms. Mary Njambi in particular was held to account by the Imara Daima MCA, and that is Kennedy Obuya. And one of the things he sought to know is, was she intoxicated when those events were taking place? Both her and Anthony Kiragu spoke to the photo that was making rounds on social media, showing them sitting on a table with liquor on it. They say Miss Mary Njambi said she is saved and she does not drink, and Anthony Kiragu said the same thing. He said he does not drink. They both said they were drinking only tea, and pointed to some tea and mandazis that were on the table.
Thank you very much. Olive Barrow was giving us a brief of what happened at the county hall, where we were having conversation, where there was the grilling of different MCAs, as well as the police boss of the county of Nairobi sub-county, Robinson Thuku, in regards to the day when the MCAs went to try and oust Beatrice Elachi from office. Now, we earlier had the story about the Mombasa floods, where we had which was because of the rains having wreaked havoc in the county of Mombasa. And we go to Mombasa, but on a different conversation, and there was a court case going on this morning in regards to Osare and family, and Kevin Mutai has the full details and now joins us live. Kevin, what is the story and what exactly is going on?
Well, thank you so much, Dan, and we have been following this particular case since morning, whereby two families have been fighting over the paternity of a child. One family is saying that they lost a child 9 years ago, and they're saying that this particular child has been staying with another family, and they claiming that as soon as they found out about the whereabouts of the child, they moved to court, and today was actually when the court was deciding on whose side that the child should go. Just a few minutes ago, the senior principal magistrate ruled that according to the results, the DNA results from Kemri, it indicated that neither of the two families, as in the child doesn't belong to neither of the two families, saying that the alleged father who claimed that the little girl belonged to him does not have genetic marks matching that of the child, and the other family is also saying that they were wrongfully accused, saying that they feel like they need to be compensated. The other family, remember, saying that in 2009 a group of men came into their house, attacked them, and made away with the child. And upon their investigation, they claimed that they found their child in Kizingitini in Lamu County with another family. But right here with me is one of the members of that family, and he's yet to give us answers on how they managed to stay with that child. Sasa mzangu, asante sana. Umetunani kwa majina?
Mimi naitwa Muhammad Abanur, na huyu ambaye ameshtakiwa ni aunti yangu.
Hebu tueleze mtoto alifikaje kwenye?
Mtoto alikuja na mamake, alipewa Kisauni. Alikuwa ni rafiki yake huyu aunti yangu. Akampatia mtoto akiwa na miezi miwili. Alipokuwa mdogo akampatia na karatasi nini, wakawa wanamwangalia pamoja. Yule mama alikuwa ana shida, sasa wakawa mwangalia na aunti yangu kwa muda wa miaka 4. Ikawa yule mama na huyu aunti yangu wanamwangalia mtoto. kisha after miaka 4 wakakosa mawasiliano. So anti yangu akawa hapa Mombasa Kisauni, ikabidi aende nyumbani kwao ambao ni Kizingitini Lamu. So ndo family kule tukamchukua yule mtoto tukamlea ili yule mama akitokea time yoyote awe mtoto wake amempata salama. Na anti yangu amemlea mtoto vizuri, amempeleka madrasa, amempeleka shule, anapata zile basic need zote.
Ikakuwaje familia nyingine ikaja kwa kusema mtoto ni wao?
Sasa kulikuwa na mtu kule ni Msomali mmoja alikuwa kichunga mbuzi. Sasa alipomuona yule, wajua hatukuficha kwa huyu mtoto pengine anti yangu amemzaa yeye. Hatukusema hivi. Ni kwa watu wote wanajua pale mtoto mamake yuko na anti yangu anamlelea, na ile pale kijijini kwa kote watu wanajua kwa huyu mtoto ni mtoto ambao anti yangu amepewa na mamake. Sasa katika hizo rumors na nini, jamaa nafikiria family nyingine wakasema ndo wakafanya hiyo network kwa kuna mtoto kule hana si mamake yule na nini, wakaja wakasema huyu mtoto ni wao, wakamchukua anti yangu, wakamtoa alama, wakampeleka wakamtia ndani, ndo akatoka kwa bond 20. So ni leo ndo hii DNA magistrate amesema tupime DNA, tukapima. Okay. Na wale na kitu ambacho kibaya zaidi ni kuwa anti yangu alikuwa accused kuwa alienda akafanya robbery kama kutuma watu kwa ile family. Hiyo ndo kitu mbaya ambao ilitokea.
Asante poleni. Well, those are just a few sentiments that the member of the family from the other side, the accused side, they are saying that they feel that their rights have been they do not feel like they were just accused without following proper procedures. There was no proof, and now they're saying that they want proper procedures followed and that they be given back the child. But the principal magistrate ruled that the child remain in the custody of the court, and the matter is yet to be decided later. And that are just some of the things that have been transpiring here at the Shanzu Law Courts in Mombasa County. Back to you, Dan, in studio.
Thank you very much, Kevin Mutai, coming to us live from the county of Mombasa. Now, a section of North and South Rift leaders want the Director of Public Prosecutions and Inspector General of Police to arrest and prosecute Narok Senator Ledama Olekina, Narok North Member of Parliament Moitalel Olekenta, and former Nairobi County Speaker Alex Magelo over the ongoing ethnic clashes in Narok County and in other areas in the Mau region.
We are also calling for immediate transfer of Narok County Commissioner George Natembea and a total overhaul of security team in Narok for having taken sides in the recent skirmishes. A large number of affected people evicted from their farms are living in the cold in some schools in Narok and Nakuru counties.
Maneno ya kuzunguka na kushika vijana ambao hawana hatia, unawacha vijana ambao wako na mishale, ambao tunaona kwa video vijana wako na mishale na mikuki, na kuwaendea vijana ambao ni chini ya miaka 18 na kuwashika ambao hawana chochote. Unashindwa serikali inalenga macho yake wapi?
President Uhuru Kenyatta wants other countries to emulate his renewed fight against corruption in Kenya as a way of promoting governance, especially in developing states. The head of state also told the UN General Assembly that Africa deserves 2 permanent slots in the powerful UN Security Council.
The president said his aggressive fight against fraud and abuse of office is necessitated by the need to restore confidence in governance and set an example to other nations.
Your Excellencies, Madam President, there are bold solutions that we must embrace in order to succeed. We have to fight impunity seriously and without fear or favor.
The head of state also revealed to the UN General Assembly that Kenya has reached out to partners such as Switzerland and the United Kingdom in order to return illegal proceeds of corruption which have been stashed in their banking and financial systems.
They must be accompanied by determined reforms that are subject to clear timelines and standards. Also in the multilateral system, that combat systemic corruption, money laundering, and the offshoring of illicit outflows.
In his 20-minute speech, the head of state called for reforms to the membership at the UN Security Council in order for it to be relevant and effective in addressing current and emerging global challenges.
These problems, risks, and threats are complex and call for more, not less cooperation, more, not less observance of the rule of law.
The president wants Africa to be allocated 2 permanent seats, complete with all attendant rights and prerogatives. President Kenyatta also addressed 2 side meetings on tuberculosis and climate change.
NASA leader Raila Odinga has advised the youth to work together and get involved in the fight against corruption. He stated that the youth need to be empowered as they are the focal point of development. He spoke as youth leaders gathered at a Nairobi hotel in an event organized by International Christian Church and Young Parliamentarians Association.
There is nothing easy about the transformation of a country. There is nothing easy about resolving conflict and doing away with corruption. There is nothing easy about what you face as young leaders. It is uphill all the way.
That if you really want to make a difference in terms of socio-economic development for our countries, we must invest in education, we must invest in training, and we must invest in health, we must invest in entrepreneurship.
One of the things I learned in leadership is you have to be patient. I think the young people, as a young person, become very impatient. And then you say things sometimes that you almost regret.
Corruption is a cancer in our society. Elections are wars. Poverty has continued, has actually increased. Unemployment is rampant in our society. So he said, look, we need to go back to where we started. Look at when did the rain begin to beat us? And how can we deal with this situation so that we can bring our people together?
Residents of Nakuyen village in North Pokot County are living in fear of landmines after an explosive device killed 2 boys last week. Some of the residents have moved out of the area in fear that landmines might still be present in the area. The boys, aged 9 and 11 years, were herding cattle when the explosion killed them. The residents are calling on the government to make the area safe for the residents. Residents of Ngesha village in Limuru sub-county were in for scare after an unknown device fell from the sky. Most of them claimed it was an explosive device and stayed away from it, while others said it was part of an unidentified flying object. The device was discovered by some residents as it fell on a Napier grass farm. Police arrived shortly after the residents called them and started investigations. The police took the device to Tigoni police station, where it was later established that it belonged to the meteorological department.
Nilikuwa nimeogopa sana kwa maana hii kitu nilikuwa nimedhani ni bomu imetegwa na ikarushwa, kwa maana nilikuwa nimeona imeandikwa 760 wide meters. Nikaona sasa hii ikiwa ni bomu italipuka, tukawa na hofu sana katika kijiji hiki chetu.
You can imagine the fear he had, and what's the irony that something from the meteorological department is falling. It should be rain, but it became an equipment piece. Now moving across the borders, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met in New York to discuss Gaza and revive peace talks with the Palestinians. Gaza lies between Israel and Egypt, which, along with the UN, has been seeking to broker a long-term truce between Israel and Hamas, but those efforts have stalled in recent weeks.
During the meeting, which lasted nearly 2 hours,
A major announcement regarding the status of doping in Kenya is set to be made this evening, and that's by the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA in Gigiri in Nairobi. A joint World Anti-Doping Agency, the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya and Athletics Integrity Unit press conference will reveal the current status following a 2-year investigation in the country. WADA, ADAC and AIU, which is an arm of the IAAF, engaged its top official in a highly top-secret project named Kenya Project Task Force to carry out research on doping and other anti-doping programs and initiatives in the country. Now, WADA's Director of Intelligence and Investigations, Gunter Younger, the AIU's boss, Brett Clothier, and ADAC CEO, Japheth Rugut, are expected to jointly address journalists. The Football Kenya Federation, in partnership with the Anti-Doping Association of Kenya, ADAC, rolled out anti-doping workshops for FKF National Super League clubs. The workshops, which are mandatory to all NSL clubs, players and officials, will see players taken through anti-doping rules violations, the doping control process, as well as the World Anti-Doping Agency's prohibited list. The second day of the workshops for players and officials from NSL sides, the Kenya Police, Kibera Black Stars, Kangemi All Stars, Bidco United and Administration Police take part. The anti-doping team will on Friday head to Mombasa for a session with the NSL sides, Coast Steamer and Modern Coast Rangers. On the pitch, Eden Hazard's superb run and finish stunned Anfield as Chelsea beat Liverpool 2-1 in the Carabao Cup third round. The Belgian, who had been introduced after half-time, danced past both Naby Keita and Alberto Moreno before...
lot more as we go along with our bulletins. But NTV Today closes now, but NTV Sasa starts in just a bit. Be sure to join in. My name is Dann Mwangi. Have yourself a great afternoon.